from Chicago. This is Fox 32 News at noon.
Next at noon, the Cardiac Bears striking once again. They beat the Packers in that wild one on Soldier Field. We're going to hear from fans as they prepare for the next round of the playoffs.
A drive-by shooting in the medical district. What we know so far about the victim.
And taking a live look outside for you on this Monday. Looking absolutely beautiful out there. Mike's going to have the forecast for us in just a bit. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Sylvia Perez.
And I'm Natalie Bumpke, and it is Victory Monday for the Chicago Bears. After trailing in the first half, they came back, huge comeback, to beat the Green Bay Packers on Saturday.
What a game. Roseanne caught up with some fans that are still buzzing this afternoon.
Right, we're right outside Union Station. We have the Leo Boys High School Choir here. Staley the Bear, the Monster Squad passing out bling. Hey, Staley, how you doing? Let's turn it over to the choir. Take it away.
Bear down, Chicago Bear. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm telling you, commuters walking out this morning are pumped up.
Best game I've ever seen in my life.
It was amazing. It was actually so crazy. I was with all of my best friends from college, so it was nice to get everybody together, and then seeing them win was just the best day ever.
Well, I think the Rams coming to Chicago in January is going to be a huge advantage for the Bears, but I know this time I'm not going to give up on the Bears ever, and I'm hoping they win, and I think they will.
You're there till the last minute of the game.
Second, you got it.
This is like the best year to watch football for the Chicago Bears. This is our time. This is our year. The Super Bowl, we got that. And I'm telling you, Caleb Williams is going to get us right. Colston Loveland going to get us right. Everyone on the Chicago Bears team is going to get us right.
Excited for the city of Chicago. It's amazing.
It's a sense of community. I mean, the whole city's been brought together, but that fourth quarter when they just, the whirlwind of emotions, but when all the fans come back together and the team just connects, I mean, it's electric. It's the coolest thing ever.
And Leo High School, man, they are bringing it this morning to the crowds at Union Station. So thank you for talking to me. I hope we're all celebrating on Sunday. Let's turn it over to the choir as I send it back to you guys.
Yay! I love all the excitement in the air, right?
It is wonderful. And, you know, it was a cold start to the morning. It's going to get colder before the game on Sunday. Mike Kaplan has a quick check of the forecast.
All right, we have a couple of mild days on the way, but do not give up on winter just yet. January still has some January left. Mild today and even warmer tomorrow. I think we can tag the 50-degree mark tomorrow. Light snow. He says light snow on Wednesday. Then we're going to watch for lake effect snow developing late Wednesday or Wednesday night and Thursday. At this point, it really looks like Indiana and Michigan are in the crosshairs of that one. Snow showers around Friday and Saturday, and then very cold on Sunday, just in time for, you know what, the Bears game, entertaining a West Coast team. I am fine with that cold air coming in for that. Here's what you've got today, though. Temperatures above average. Normal high is 32. I think we'll hit 44 for the official high today. Not a whole lot of variety north to south. There's no lake effect cooling going on, and skies will go from partly to mostly sunny here this afternoon. Tonight, the normal low is 19. The normal high is 32. Look at these lows are warmer than the typical high this time of year. And from that, we get to 50 degrees tomorrow, and if you don't hit 50, it's going to be mighty close with upper 40s on the way. A small chance of a rain shower tomorrow. I'll show you our future cast and how little rain is expected coming up in just a couple of minutes. Back to you.
Right, thank you, Mike. A Rush University Medical Center employee is critically injured in a drive-by shooting near the hospital. Police say 23-year-old woman was sitting in a parked vehicle on South Paulina Street this morning when a dark-colored sedan pulled up. They say someone inside that sedan fired a gun, hitting the woman multiple times. The suspects then took off. The victim was taken to Stroger Hospital in critical condition. No arrests have been made. Rush sent a statement saying the victim and the family are in their thoughts, and wellness resources are being made to any staff that might need it. An investigation is underway after an officer fired his gun during a traffic stop overnight. This happened in the Austin neighborhood. Chicago police say officers saw a firearm on the driver's lap, and during an encounter with the man, one officer fired his gun. No one was injured by the gunfire, but the driver was treated for minor injuries.
And today, Marnie Yang was back in court for an evidence hearing.
Yang is serving a double life sentence for killing a pregnant girlfriend of former Chicago Bear Sean Gale in her Deerfield condo in 2011. Yang previously dated Gale. Her defense team says new DNA evidence could set her a new trial. They say DNA on bullets found at the crime scene do not match Yang, and they belong to a man. And a Chicago man accused of murdering his ex-wife and her husband in Ohio is due in court today. Michael David McKee is facing murder charges in connection with shooting and killing Dr. Spencer Tapey and his wife Monique inside of their home in Columbus, Ohio on December 30th. Their two young children were inside the home when it happened, but they were not injured. McKee is Monique Tapey's ex-husband. They got divorced in 2017.
A jury is now seated in the civil Chicago trial against Boeing. Boeing took a plea deal back in 2024 to avoid a criminal trial after two fatal plane crashes in 2018 and 2019. A man is now suing Boeing for the deaths of his mother, father, and sister, who were passengers on the Boeing 737 MAX plane that crashed in Ethiopia. Boeing says the family is entitled to pursue the case, and they will work to resolve the claims. And today, the man accused of murdering his wife will be extradited to Illinois. This is a story we've been following very closely. Prosecutors accused Adam Beckerink of throwing his wife, Caitlin Tracy, down the stairwell of a South Loop high-rise in 2024, where he lived. A Cook County judge issued an arrest warrant in October for first-degree murder. We'll keep you updated on the case.
The Chicago Fire Department marking the 75th anniversary of a deadly fire. A bell ringing ceremony in honor of Jack Schuberth, John P. Gleason, and Henry R. Dyer. The firefighters were killed on this day in 1951 when a wall collapsed on them following an explosion in an office and warehouse building. Investigations showed that the explosion had probably been caused by excessive dust circulating through the elevator shaft. More to come on Fox 32 News at noon.
President Trump says he wants to make home ownership more affordable. Why Democrats say the plan, though, is out of reach for most families.
Thousands of nurses that is, in New York City walking off the job today. We'll explain.
Good news for people with Medicare in Chicago.
New this hour, a man is facing charges in connection to a deadly shooting on the CTA Pink Line.
Police say 34-year-old Pedro Villarreal was armed with a knife and got into an argument with two other men on the train. This happened last month. One of them pulled a gun, and that's when the suspect got hold of that gun and fired. A 23 and 44-year-old was shot. The older one did not survive. The 34-year-old is charged with attempted murder, aggravated battery, and a CTA trespassing citation. ICE is continuing its operations in Minneapolis days after a 37-year-old woman, Renee Good, was fatally shot by an agent.
The Trump administration says more resources are on the way. Caroline Elliott has more.
DHS says they're sending hundreds of additional agents to Minneapolis in what it's calling its largest operation ever. Tensions remain high in Minneapolis as federal agents make more arrests following the fatal shooting of a woman by an ICE officer. Over the weekend, thousands protested across the country demanding accountability.
I'm out here because I have so many friends that have expired passports and they're too afraid to go get groceries.
But Secretary Kristi Noem says ICE agents will not be deterred. Some 2,000 federal agents are already in the Twin Cities, and now DHS is sending hundreds of additional officers to continue enforcement.
We've arrested dozens of murderers, rapists, traffickers in that city already, and we're going to continue to do that work to follow through on President Trump's promises.
But Democrats on Capitol Hill say the operation is only causing chaos. Over the weekend, a Minnesota Congresswoman, Ilhan Omar, joined other lawmakers in Minneapolis and said she was denied access to an ICE facility after briefly being inside.
What we have seen in Minneapolis is ICE agents oftentimes jumping out of their cars. These are unmarked cars. So it is even more important for there to be recording from eyewitnesses every single time these actions are taking place.
The FBI remains solely in charge of this shooting investigation, but Minnesota authorities say they're collecting their own evidence. Outside of Minneapolis, Caroline Elliott, Fox News.
The families of 4 University of Idaho students who were murdered by Brian Kohberger in 2022 are now suing Washington State University. Kohberger, who pleaded guilty to the murders in July, attended WSU as a grad student and was working as a teaching assistant. The suit claims the school ignored questionable behavior from Kohberger. Kohberger's classmates described him as a, quote, possible future rapist who became obsessed with sexually motivated burglars and serial killers. We now want to turn to Iran. President Trump says that country wants to negotiate with the U.S. after his threats to strike the country in response to a deadly crackdown on protests. Activists say the official death toll is now nearing 550, with thousands of others detained. This follows weeks of protest over economic conditions. So far, Iran has not responded to the president's comments, but it blamed Israel and the U.S. for the violence without providing any evidence. We're going to have more reaction on this developing story coming up.
Today, the United Nations Security Council is set to hold an emergency meeting following Russia's latest attack on Ukraine. Ukrainian authorities say the strike on Friday night killed at least 4 people in Kyiv, wounded 20, and left nearly 6,000 apartment buildings without heat in the frigid Ukrainian winter. Russia claimed it was in retaliation for an attempted attack on President Putin's home last month, something Ukraine denies.
We continue to communicate with the U.S. side on practically a daily basis. Today, Rustem Umerov was again in contact with U.S. partners. This is our strategic task. The dialogue with the U.S. must be 100% constructive.
Ukrainian forces struck Russian targets, including drilling platforms in the Caspian Sea. European allies are also considering troop deployments if a ceasefire is reached. References to President Trump's 2 impeachments have been removed from his display at the Smithsonian's American Presidents exhibit. His portrait now appears without the accompanying wall text as seen with other presidents. The White House has not said whether it requested the change. It comes as the administration pushes museums to review exhibits ahead of the nation's 250th anniversary.
The Department of Justice has subpoenaed the Federal Reserve and is threatening to indict Chairman Jerome Powell. This is all related to testimony about the Fed's building renovations. President Trump has called the $2.5 billion renovation excessive. Powell claims the White House is playing politics over his refusal to slash interest rates.
The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation.
The DOJ says it cannot comment on a particular case, only that it is prioritizing investigating any abuse of taxpayer dollars.
The White House says new mortgage data shows its focus on housing affordability is working. But Democrats on Capitol Hill say this is all just smoke and mirrors. Rebecca Castor has more from Washington.
President Trump's push to make home ownership more affordable is pushing mortgage rates down in the process. The rate for a 30-year mortgage is now just over 6%, the lowest since February 2023. It comes after the president called for federal housing agencies, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, to buy up $200 billion in mortgage bonds. And housing officials say that's just the start.
On the supply end of things, we met with home builders recently. We're meeting again with the home builders this week. I'm very confident that the builders will get building again.
The White House also says an executive order is expected this week banning big investment companies from buying private homes.
We need people in homes, just like they were in President Trump's first term. People should live in homes. They shouldn't be on corporate balance sheets.
But Democrats point out large financial institutions only own about 3% of all single-family homes, and prices are still going up, making home ownership out of reach for most American families.
It is not a hoax. It is very real. Housing costs out of control, grocery costs out of control, electricity bills out of control.
Some experts say the economy is in the middle of a transformation with an investment boom underway that hasn't started trickling down yet.
Who do the benefits of this productivity go to? Do they go only to corporations, or are they shared with workers? Because we need to address the cost of living.
Right now, the median home price in the U.S. is about $400,000. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox Chicago.
The largest nurses' strike is now underway in New York City. 15,000 nurses walked off the job this morning after negotiations with the hospital systems failed to meet what the union is calling critical concerns. The nurses are asking for better pay, safe staffing levels, fully funded health benefits, and better workplace safety protections. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has issued an executive order to ensure hospitals stay open for patient care during this strike.
It is 12:17 this afternoon, and a live look at the beautiful city skyline. Lots of sunshine. Fox 32 meteorologist Mike Kaplan joins us now for another check of the forecast.
All right, we've had some high, thin cloud cover out there. It's still thin enough that you're getting some sunshine through that, but the cloud cover is going to be breaking up. I think we end up mostly sunny here this afternoon, and that is going to help temperatures climb into the 40s at a time of year when freezing is a normal high. And if you look here, this is a satellite and radar composite. The only precip is way off to our east, hitting parts of Canada, a little bit of lake effect. No big storm in sight for us. Let's go to the Futurecast. Our Weather Authority Futurecast shows plenty of sunshine here during the afternoon hours. Temperatures rising nicely. It'll be a little bit on the breezy side, so that makes it feel a little bit cooler. Tonight, clear skies early, becoming partly cloudy. During the day tomorrow, look and see if you see much in the way of any green here. And the answer, in short, is no. So if there's a little light rain tomorrow, that's it. I would favor areas south of the Kankakee River for maybe getting a brief shower. That is it. Nobody's getting much. But on Wednesday, that's when a cold front's coming through. The warmest part of the day Wednesday will be in the morning. We'll get in the upper 30s, and the temperatures will be falling. And as that front comes through, there may be a brief snow shower, but this does not look like a big deal. What is of more concern is that this is lake effect snow. It gets going Wednesday afternoon and evening, and the question is, where is it likely to focus? I'm thinking parts of northwest Indiana and southwest Michigan. Looking at our Futurecast rainfall, you see a whole bunch of nothing coming in here tomorrow. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Mike. We're continuing to follow unrest in Iran after weeks there of protests.
Coming up, we're going to break down what's driving that unrest and what could happen next.
We do the job.
Iran's crackdown on nationwide protests continued Sunday, with some estimating more than 500 protesters have been killed so far. The Trump administration continued to warn that the U.S. stands ready to support those protesters, and Iran has actually agreed to meet with the U.S. to negotiate options.
North Central College political science professor William Muck is joining us now to help us break this down. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you as always.
Good to be here.
Okay, so let's talk about what might U.S. intervention look like.
This is the really hard question, right? So we've just seen what happened in Venezuela, which was largely a military operation. There's a lot of complexity if you were to try to take that model and apply it to Iran. Now, the big factor in Iran is that the military continues to be aligned with the regime, but it's not so easy to go in and target the military, right? So this is the hard thing. Like, you could do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. You could engage in some covert activity supporting them, but there's no real easy military option that will move the needle. So I think that's probably what the administration is thinking about. How do we help support these protesters, but do so in a way that actually will move the needle and help them get power?
And Professor Muck, if you could also break down, what are the people of Iran hoping that these protests accomplish? Because obviously they're willing to put their lives on the line to get to their end game here.
Yeah, over the last 5, 6, or 7 years, what you've seen is waves of different protests. And sometimes those are politically motivated, moving for democracy. Other times dealing more with human rights, targeting of women, and all sort of a variety of issues. These tend to be more all-inclusive, including economic issues. And I think what they want is an opening of the democratic process. So I think this really is talking about flipping the regime itself, getting a theocracy, getting the Ayatollah, getting those repressive elements of the government out. It's a dramatic shift, right? They're not just arguing for some small rights on the margins. They're saying that this regime, which has been in power since 1979, has lost legitimacy, is corrupt and oppressive. So they're talking about fundamentally shifting and flipping that regime. So again, these are very, very bold and ambitious agendas.
Yeah, so what, first of all, is the likelihood that that would happen, and what is the U.S. willing to do to make that happen at this point?
I think the likelihood of seeing the regime toppled in the next couple weeks is low, because it just takes a long time. And I think the big thing when you're trying to watch to see whether a regime is going to crumble or not, always look at the military. And what we've seen right now is the military continues to support the regime. Now, if we start to see cracks in the military, that's when you start to see these governments topple. So I think that's the first thing to watch for. But then your question is really important. Like, how can the United States push this along? You may see some targeted attacks against the military infrastructure, but I don't think that's going to be dramatic, right? I think maybe the best thing the United States could do is continue to offer moral support, and then maybe behind the scenes, you know, help organize some of these efforts of trying to topple it. But it's a really messy thing, because if the United States had a full military intervention, then you own this situation, and that's really messy as well. So very difficult for outside powers to influence the process.
And speaking of that too, other times when the U.S. has intervened, like in Afghanistan or Syria or Libya, the outcome was not necessarily better than what we were dealing with before. So, I mean, what do you anticipate to happen in Iran?
This is exactly the kind of question we should be talking about, right? I think you mentioned Libya. This feels very much like Libya. And that was during the Obama administration, and they were worried about, basically, like, they thought there was a genocide or human rights catastrophe could occur. And so they carried out an air campaign. It didn't work out well. It really actually created more chaos across Libya. So these are the things that the Trump administration needs to be thinking about. If we intervene, it's possible we could only make things worse and create more chaos. So it's a really difficult thing to do. In some ways, we should hope for change in the Iranian regime. It is a repressive regime. It is against the interests of the Iranian people. But how to go about that is really, really complicated. And it's not easy to make things just better overnight.
So Iran has already warned that it's going to take action against the U.S. and Israel if the U.S. does intervene. And what as we've been watching President Trump make his moves in Venezuela and take actions, you know, with tariffs, is this something, do you think, that has Iran concerned? Even though they're sending out these warnings, are they at all worried about what could come next?
Absolutely, right. After Venezuela, every head of state is probably a little worried that there might be a similar operation. Now, again, it would be much more difficult in a situation like Iran. And the other thing the United States has to pay attention to is that if the United States or Israel gets too involved in this, it's easy for the government to argue that this is the United States. This isn't being self-determined by the Iranian people. So these are other things that outside powers, the United States and Israel, need to be aware of. If they get too involved, then it's less about the Iranians engaging in self-determination and throwing off an oppressive regime, and it's more about an outside power trying to intervene. And that gives power to the regime itself, because Khomeini's already been out talking about the fact that this is an outside intervention. So again, really complicated, but oftentimes the best move is to sit back and allow the people to drive the process.
All right, Professor William Muck, thank you so much. We always appreciate your time.
Always good to be here.
And we'll be right back.
Patrick
Want to know the NFC North? It's a heck.
Your go-to source for live.
Welcome back. It's 12:30. Here's a look at some of the stories we're following for you this afternoon.
A Chicago man accused of murdering his ex-wife and her husband in Ohio is due in court today. Michael David McKee is facing murder charges in connection with shooting and killing Dr. Spencer Tepe and his wife Monique inside of their home in Columbus, Ohio on December 30th. Their two young children were inside the home when it happened. Those kids were not hurt. McKee is Monique Tepe's ex-husband. They got divorced in 2017.
An employee at Rush University Medical Center is in critical condition after a drive-by shooting. Police say a 23-year-old woman was sitting in a parked car on South Paulina Street when a dark-colored sedan pulled up and fired, hitting the woman multiple times. The suspects then took off. The victim was taken to Stroger Hospital. No arrests have been made.
The Department of Justice has subpoenaed the Federal Reserve and is threatening to indict Chair Jerome Powell. It's related to testimony about the Fed's building renovation. President Trump has called the $2.5 billion renovation excessive. Powell claims the White House is playing politics over his refusal to slash interest rates.
And we know who the Bears' next opponent is. They're going to be taking on the LA Rams in the second round of the postseason this weekend. Bears fans are still celebrating after that incredible victory against the rival Packers on Saturday. The next game will be on Sunday, but we don't know the exact time for kickoff just yet.
And meteorologist Mike Kaplan, as we take a look, Sylvia, at Soldier Field, the place where it's going to happen. Mike has a check of your forecast.
All right, today and tomorrow are going to be the warmest days of the week. Today, 40s, and tomorrow we have a chance of getting to 50 degrees. But there are changes afoot, and it's going to point us in a more wintry direction. So today, mostly sunny skies this afternoon, temperatures getting into low to mid 40s. A little weak trough of low pressure. That's what this brown line is here. No real weather associated with that. Maybe a couple of clouds coming through here tonight into tomorrow morning. You can see the snow that will be flying farther to the north and a little weak area of light rain that really looks like it's focused on central Illinois more than in Chicagoland. I mean, here we are at 6 o'clock and you see a little light rain from Quincy to Springfield near Lafayette and Indianapolis. But here, it's not much. But, see that blue line? That's the cold front. This is the first of what will be a couple of shots of colder air coming in here. So we're going to kind of stair-step down this week. With that front tomorrow, a couple of things are going to happen. There might be a brief snow shower associated with it. I'm not really concerned about a big accumulation from that. But behind that front, we're going to start to turn the winds at least some component of north. Whether it is due north, northwest, or northeast remains to be seen and will play a huge role in who gets the most snow out of this. Right now, most computer models, and I'm in agreement with them, are focusing the brunt of that snow eastern Porter, LaPorte, and Berrien County as opposed to hitting the Illinois side. Futurecast snowfall, I'll run you here through the early part of the day Wednesday, and you'll see a couple little blips popping up here on Wednesday, maybe enough to briefly whiten the ground. But right in here is where snowfall is getting started. That doesn't mean that's the end of the snow there in Porter and LaPorte County. The other thing I want to point out, change toward colder temperatures versus normal for the fourth week of January. 44 today with sunshine. Tonight dropping down to 34 degrees. And look at the 7-day forecast. 50 tomorrow, some lake effect snow. Sunday, cold for that Bears game, a high of 18.
The Cook County Department of Public Health is urging residents to test their homes for radon this month.
It's not something you talk a lot about, but radon is a colorless, odorless gas and the second leading cause of lung cancer in the U.S. Health officials say it can build up inside homes without warning, and testing is the only way to know if levels are dangerous. The department is offering free at-home test kits to residents. For more information on how to request one of those kits, you can visit the Cook County Department of Public Health website.
The FDA is upgrading a recall for some cheese to the highest danger levels after testing positive for listeria. The Locatelli products were distributed nationwide between November 3rd and November 20th. This recall was originally issued by the FDA in November, but it was upgraded to a Class 1 recall just last week. That means it may cause serious health consequences or even death. You should throw away the products or return them for a refund. Florida is the first state to do its own independent testing of baby formula. 24 formulas from 7 different brands were purchased in store and online. 16 came back showing toxic levels exceeding the maximum daily limit that is set by the federal government. Florida officials say this isn't necessarily a warning for parents, just information they can use to make informed decisions. The American Academy of Pediatrics says while the study sounds alarming on the surface, the study itself must be examined before parents change how they feed their babies.
Breastfeeding may be linked to better mental health for moms years after giving birth. Researchers say women who experienced depression or anxiety were less likely to have breastfed or had shorter periods of any or exclusive breastfeeding. Researchers determined that each week of exclusive breastfeeding meant a 2% lower chance of anxiety or depression, even after considering factors like alcohol intake. They say these findings determine that breastfeeding could help protect against postpartum depression, and it may offer long-term health benefits.
If you're thinking of moving for health reasons, you might want to consider heading to New Hampshire.
Of all places, United Health Foundation's annual rankings found the state is the healthiest in the nation. Researchers looked at nearly 100 factors, including premature death, excessive drinking, chronic conditions, drug deaths, exercise, and smoking. Louisiana came in last place. Meanwhile, Illinois was ranked 28th. The research also claims the country is making progress on health issues overall.
And we'll be right back.
These are the moments they fight for auto.
A warning for those who are behind on their student loans.
The federal government has started alerting borrowers in default that they will have their wages garnished. Letters started going out last week, and this applies to any borrowers who have not made a payment in at least 270 days or 9 months. The federal government resumed collecting student loan payments last May after they were paused during the COVID-19 pandemic. Borrowers who are in default could see up to 15% of their pay garnished. On Good Day Chicago, we spoke to someone with the Illinois Assistance Commission, and she talked about what people should do if they're behind on their payments.
The most important thing that they can do is contact their student loan servicer for them to see what options they have available in order for them to get out of default. So that is going to be like the first thing that they want to start doing.
You can also stop garnishment by requesting a hearing or consolidating your loans. As of June of 2025, Education Department figures show there are more than 5 million borrowers in default. Let's take a live look at the New York Stock Exchange. Right now, the Dow is trading at 20.39, and that's up right now.
Yeah, just a small amount, but still up. Now it's time to look at your business headlines with CJ Papa.
There's a merger of two smaller airlines. Allegiant Travel is buying Sun Country Airlines. Allegiant is paying about $1.1 billion. Sun Country is based in Minneapolis. Allegiant's headquarters is Las Vegas. President Trump is calling for a one-year cap of interest rates on credit cards at 10%. The Wall Street Journal says credit card interest rates currently average around 23%. People with lower credit scores are charged up to 36%. Credit card issuers are pushing back. A 10% cap could save American households roughly $100 billion a year. Though the card industry warns people with lower credit scores and lower incomes would lose access to credit cards. Big bank earnings kicking off this week, with J.P. Morgan leading the way, followed by Citi, Bank of America, and Goldman Sachs. Financial sector profits expected to rise about 7% in the fourth quarter, driven by stronger deal making. steady loan growth, and higher net interest margins. And more people picked up a new phone last year. Research firm Counterpoint tells Reuters global smartphone shipments rose 2% from the year before. Apple leads the market with a 20% share. CJ Papa, Fox News.
Our noon show will be wrapping up in about 20 minutes, but Chicago Live is just getting started.
Anita's standing by with a look at what's coming up. Hi, Anita.
Hey, ladies. Happy Victory Monday. Let's go over a few of the things that we have lined up between 1 and 4 p.m. online. So lots of serious topics, of course, to talk about and to talk through. But I'd be lying if I said that I was not super excited that we're going to have a conversation in the 3 o'clock hour with White Castle's Chief Marketing Officer. Reservations open today for their iconic Valentine's Day dining experience, now in its 35th year. Also in our 2 o'clock hour, I'm going to be talking to a Kane County board member ahead of a big vote that they have this evening. They're grappling with an issue that so many other communities are as well. Should there be tighter regulations on short-term home rentals listed on hosting platforms like Airbnb and Vrbo? Some residents have concerns about noise, congestion, partying, safety, all of those things and more. So we'll see where he stands on things and maybe where he sees this going. And in our first hour, we're talking about this widening rift between President Trump and the Fed chair, a major lawsuit involving one of the country's largest men's collegiate fraternities with a pretty unheard of twist. And you know, if it's a Victory Monday, we're not just basking in the glow of what was, but we're checking in with our sports team to talk a little bit about the next challenge ahead for the Bears. It's all online starting at 1, so I look forward to seeing everyone then.
All right, thanks for that, Anita. We will be watching. Well, from Santa Monica to Chicago, a cross-country Route 66 comes to the Windy City. That would be Route 66, right? So we're going to tell you where you can check out these pretty cool vintage vehicles.
We have another great stop on Michigan Avenue, the American Writers Museum, and we're talking about its latest edition, the American Prophets exhibit. We're going to show you insights to authors with some local ties, ones who've made worldwide impression, here coming up.
No matter how you
An exhibit at the American Writers Museum explores how faith and spirituality have shaped American storytelling.
Gabriella Primus has a closer look at American prophets.
When you come into the museum, it's vibrant, it's colorful, it's interactive. There's somewhere to look at every corner. Of course, you come into the American Prophets, the latest, newest exhibit here at the museum, and you can be introduced to some authors that really have made an impact here in America, but also not only on pages, also in song as well. We have to remember that. I'm with Carrie Cranston. You are the president here of the museum, and for people who have not been yet, this exhibit's been here since November. They have until, through the year to see it. What can folks expect?
Well, I mean, throughout the museum, it's fun and interactive, like you mentioned, and there's a lot to do. But in this particular exhibit, they can see how writers are influenced by their own spiritual beliefs or those of their family and the people around them, and how it then intersects with their writing.
But this caught my eye right away. It's almost like movie posters that you flip through, but then you can also, pick and choose on the screen.
Yeah, so it looks at all kinds of science fiction and fantasy and that notion of speculative fiction where people think about religion differently. And things that, you might know or you might not are things like Star Trek and Star Wars. And so if I want to, I can dig down for more information. Number 20 here shows me Star Trek. And I can learn a little bit about Gene Roddenberry and his background. And he was raised in a very strict Baptist upbringing, but he broke away from it. And his belief system became more about humanity, so became a humanist. And that is reflected in the original stories and structures of Star Trek.
No, and I want to sit here too, because this is such a cute little diner scene. Yeah. We talked about some of the music. Yes, you learn about these authors. Maybe you fall more in love with some of the books that you already know and love. But you have a menu here, and you could pick out a song and even listen.
Yeah, so, songwriting is important, and it's a way that people explore their feelings about the world and people around them, but also about their own faith inside and their own belief systems. And so there are just a whole bunch of different songwriters in here. An example would be Carole King, wrote a famous song called You've Got a Friend. And when Aretha Franklin interpreted the song, she combined it in a medley with gospel singing and made it more about connecting with God as the friend than just another person. So the readers interpret and the people who sing it over reinterpret. So everybody brings something to these discussions, and it's a very deep topic for a lot of us, depending on where we come from.
All right, thank you, Carrie Cranston. All right, you can make this part of your 2026, the American Prophets exhibit right here at the American Writers Museum. Much more information on our website, fox32chicago.com.
Thank you, Gabby. After a 10-day journey along the historic Route 66, the drive home is arriving in Chicago today. The caravan of vintage and modern vehicles pulled out of Santa Monica last week, traveling more than 2,000 miles across America's most famous highway. Well, tonight the group stops at Navy Pier from 4:30 to 6, celebrating Route 66 upcoming centennial. And after today, the drive continues to Detroit with the cars headed to the Detroit Auto Show. The U.S. Postal Service is honoring boxing legend Muhammad Ali with a commemorative postage stamp. The three-time heavyweight champ, widely recognized as the greatest boxer of all time, Ali was born in Kentucky but lived in Chicago for more than a decade. This was during the 1960s and the 70s, and now this new stamp will feature Ali in black and white, posing in a pinstripe suit. It's in recognition of his work as an activist and humanitarian. His widow, Lonnie Ali, says their family is ecstatic about this great honor.
Seeing Muhammad's face on a stamp is so exciting for me because it's another part of his legacy that is going out into the world.
22 million stamps have already been printed, and once those sell out, they're not going to be reprinted. The new stamps roll out on January 15th.
Those are amazing stamps.
Cool.
Sometimes questionable, but those are
great,
awesome.
right?
Love is in the air. This also might be questionable. And so is the smell of White Castle sliders. The chain's popular Love Castles returning again this Valentine's Day. It's amazing how many years they have done this. Customers can enjoy a one-of-a-kind dining experience. It features table service and festive Valentine's decorations. Anita mentioned they're going to have an interview about this if you want more information on Chicago Live coming up in the 3 o'clock hour. But you can make your reservation at any participating location on opentable.com. This marks the 35th year of the tradition.
Must be working because people keep coming back.
Yes.
35 years. Pretty impressive. From big wins to some surprise moments.
Coming up, a look at the biggest highlights of this year's Golden Globes.
The decision to
The Golden Globes are sometimes a predictor of what to expect when the Oscars roll around.
Right, and if that's the case, there is a clear favorite. Ashley Dvorkin has more.
From walking the red carpet to going home with the Globe, we're celebrating with the honorees of film and TV at this year's Golden Globe Awards.
And the winner is One Battle After Another.
It was one trophy after another for One Battle After Another, with 4 total, including Best Picture Musical or Comedy. Paul Thomas Anderson nabbed Best Director and Best Screenplay.
To my brown sisters and little brown girls watching tonight, and our dreams deserve space. Thank you.
Tiana Taylor won Best Supporting Actress.
Hamnet.
To be or not to be? Well, they are big winners. Hamnet took Best Picture Drama, and Jessie Buckley won Best Female Actor in a Motion Picture. In more golden honors for the silver screen, Wagner Moura won Best Male Actor. His movie, The Secret Agent, took Best Non-English Language Film.
Hopefully you'll see it in a cinema, because they're an extinguished species.
Sentimental Values, Stellan Skarsgård was named Best Supporting Male Actor. Plus, it was a golden night for K-pop Demon Hunters, taking Best Motion Picture Animated Film and Best Song in a Motion Picture.
Just like Wicked, I'm back for a sequel.
Host Nikki Glazer dished out her signature roasting style as the awards were handed out in film and TV.
This is extraordinary.
As for the TV side, Adolescence was the big winner there, taking 4 categories, including Best Limited or Anthology Series. The Pit earned Best Drama. Sal Saperstein and team of The Studio follow up their Emmys win with the Best Musical or Comedy Series Golden Globe.
So excited to get started shooting the next season in 1 week from today.
This award season party keeps going from here. Up next, Oscar nominations January 22nd at the Beverly Hilton in Beverly Hills. Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Country music legend Dolly Parton will be missing her 80th birthday bash at the Grand Ole Opry. In a video post on social media, Parton said some of her favorite memories took place there, and she wishes she could be at the January 17th celebration in person. The announcement comes a few months after Parton postponed a series of Las Vegas concerts citing health challenges.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Hurt in a wreck, the insurance.
Fox Local, your best way to stream.
Barbie is getting a new friend. Mattel is releasing the first ever doll with autism to shed light on individuals who've been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Specific design choices include flexible elbows and joints in the hand to mimic stimming, which is repetitive body movement that some with autism experience. Accessories include noise-canceling headphones, loose-fitting clothing, and a tablet with alternative communication apps. This new doll will go on sale beginning in March.
And we want to take you live outside again. What a beautiful picture of the city. I just love it so much.
It's so pretty. What a nice day.
Right. If it just wasn't so cold out there. Mike Kaplan has another check of the forecast.
Pretty nice weather for the next couple of days. Today, a little bit of cloud cover, mainly high and thin. I think becoming mostly sunny is the way to get it done after the morning clouds that we had. A high 44. Southwest winds going at about 10 to 20 miles per hour. So a little bit on the breezy side. Nothing that's going to knock your trees down. Tonight, a low that's warmer than the normal high. 34 degrees. Southwest wind at 8 to 16. We'll have clear to partly cloudy skies out there, so not too cold, certainly by mid-January standards. All right, look at the 7-day forecast. This will be the 9th day in a row of above average temperatures. Tomorrow will be the 10th. Wednesday will be the 11th. Then we get a little turn in the pattern here. Some light snow possible Wednesday. That's not a big deal, but we'll watch.